Alright, and our runners are now off. Now, one important thing to note is that each of our runners is going to be running on the Japanese version, and this saves them a little bit of real time and saves them 3 minutes over the course of the run. So that'll help them out a lot with text. It doesn't save any in-game time, but it does save those 3 minutes of real time. However, the text layout is different, so our runners will have to make sure they're text mashing properly, or else they can easily lose seconds or even a minute over their opponent. Now, the first little bit we saw there was the climb, and that's the first real difficult bit of movement you have to do in the game, and in it you have to go through and do a series of fairly rough wall jumps really quickly. Looks like both runners did a fairly okay climb there, so they both made it through pretty okay. And now Yuri is going to kill the first enemy of the game, along with Elfonzyo. So now, the next objective of our runners is to go and get the missile upgrade and fight the first boss of the game. Now, missiles are nice early on because you don't really have good ways of killing enemies quickly other than missiles, so you end up using a lot of missiles. Unfortunately, that means our runners are going to have to make sure they actually have enough missiles and don't run out. And now, in this game, you're guaranteed a drop from an enemy, but the drop you get depends on your health and ammo count. If you have full health, you always get a missile tank drop. If you have full ammo, you always get a health drop. Now, if you don't have full of either, then you will definitely have a bit of RNG to deal with. And if you run out of missiles and you don't have full health, you're not guaranteed a missile drop, which can give you trouble.
Yes, for the first part of this game, missile management is very key, and they want to try to take as least amount of damage as they possibly can.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a bit of RNG at the first part of the game, so there are going to be a few moments where they may take damage they didn't really have much of a say in, unfortunately. This early part here, most of the damage is pretty well in their control up until the end of the first boss fight, but the first sector where you are most liable to run out of missiles is unfortunately very overbearing with RNG in a few rooms, so we'll see how our runner's luck goes.
With that, Yuri now has those missiles, with Elfonzyo about to pick them up as well.
Yeah, looks like Yuri has a bit of a lead on Elfonzyo right now, but early game is extremely volatile, so would not be surprised to see that lead sort of trade back and forth for the first half hour of the run. Now, one thing Yuri's going to have to deal with here before he fights the boss is an eye door. Eye doors are placed over all the boss fights, or most of the boss fights, I should say, not all of them. But they either open their eye for damage, or they just shoot a beam at you. Now, generally, it takes 3 hits with your regular missiles to kill them, and they can shoot between 0 to 4 beams each phase. And now Yuri's going to try and do a trick here called a double missile, where he hits the eye door with 2 missiles in the same frame. He was unable to get it, though. And if you do that, you do double damage, so you only need 2 rounds to take out the eye door.
Yes, it can really speed up eye door beams. It's a very hard trick to pull off, however.
Yeah, in Yuri's case there, he wasn't able to get them, but he had a really good RNG on the eye door anyway, so it didn't seem like he really lost time by messing that up. Now, his first boss fight's pretty straightforward. You unload missiles into Arachnus, and he sometimes rolls, but the important part is at the end here. We're going to actually see Yuri try and do a double missile on the core, and he does get it. And you'll actually see that throughout the run. They're going to try and get double missiles on these core X's for the same reason they do it on the eye doors, and it's just to kill the core X quicker in half the time. In this case, and it looks like Elfonzyo gets a double missile as well. Nice. Now for this I-Core, it has an odd number of hits, and because of that, it takes three hits killed in total. So it always takes at least 2 rounds to deal with it. So you kind of, I guess, get a free round there where you don't have to get a double. But most of the I-Doors will have even numbers of shots you need to land. And so missing a double is sort of an objective time loss.
And now the computer is telling our runners to go head to Sector 1 due to some atmospheric stabilizer trouble. And Yuriy is choosing not to pick up the main deck missile, which really helps with Sector 1 missile management. I don't know if Elfonzyo will pick it up, we'll have to see.
I mean, I have no way of verifying that's what the computer's telling them. I'm just assuming that. And we don't really know for sure.
That may or may not be what the computer is saying. Thank you for correcting me there. Now, Elfonzyo does not pick it up as well.
So both of our runners are going to be dealing with a 20 missile Sector 1. So we'll see how that goes. Now again, if they don't get hit, this won't be a problem. But if they do get hit, then they might be in trouble. Now, at the end of this sector, they're going to be going to fight the Charge Beam boss, which is basically just a glorified version of the core that you saw after Arachnus earlier. And the main purpose of getting Charge Beam is so they can use their missiles a little bit less. But that doesn't happen until halfway through the sector, so for the first half, they're gonna have to be very careful with their missiles and the damage they take.
And once again, RNG plays a role in drops and later with a shaft full of space pirates. How many pirates on the wall depends completely on RNG, and if they get hit, it's a sizable chunk of health that they lose.
Right, so Yuriy is going to have 16 missiles, or he's going to have 11 missiles going into the next few rooms, and looks like he's going to have, like, I believe, 8 of them going into the pirate shaft, so hopefully that goes well. Oh, he's going to get 9. Nice, got that drop there.
Oh, pretty good pirate luck, and gets some 2 green missile drops, puts him at a decent missile count. Now Elfonzyo's taken quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Yuriy was actually very safe with that pirate shaft. He unloaded a lot of missiles there. Now, of course, you can unload like as many missiles as you want, and you can actually unload enough to where you're generally safe. But it does exhaust a lot of missiles, and if you've already taken damage, well, you could be even worse off than if you had just saved your missiles and taken an extra hit or 2. But Yuriy has full health, and he has full missile drops, so he's definitely going to be very okay going into the Charge Beam area. And of course, every pirate here drops double drops, so he's getting a ton of missiles right now. You can see right here, this is why managing your health is so important, because Yuriy's not going to have to worry about missiles at all. He's going to have like 18 going into the room with the eye door.
Yeah, and Elfonzyo is pretty low. He's probably get mostly yellows from these pirates at first.
Does
get green.
Yeah, he'll have enough missiles to even go for a double if he wants to, but if he messes it up completely, he'll only have 1. Yuriy is getting a really bad beam luck here. Oof. Wow, this is... That is... wow. You can sort of see how bad beam luck can quickly get out of control. Oh no, and Yuriy messes up the setup a little bit there. Have to fight this boss this way, but he still gets the Charge Beam. And that helped Elfonzyo catch up by a lot.
So both have the charge beam, and now we should talk about how the charge beam works. The charge beam has 3 parts, 2 of the main shot and the flare that comes around, Samus's arm cannon. And total this does 26 damage compared to the 10 that your missiles do currently. So they'll be using the beam quite a bit.
Yeah, the only downside of charge beam at this point is that it takes forever for it to charge. So if there are like multiple enemies in really quick succession that you need to kill, you don't really have the luxury of defeating it with defeating the room with charge beam. But they will still get to use it a whole lot less, thankfully.
So now the runners are headed back to the nav room to figure out where to go, and they'll be told to head to Sector 2. And Sector 2 is where the difficulty ramps up even more with enemies, as you can easily be comboed by enemies here and take a ton of damage.
Yeah, Sector 2 enemies are brutal. The most common enemy type in there does 45 damage if you run into them. And our runners only have 199 max health right now, so if they had full health, they could take like 4 hits before they 5th hit would kill them. In Yuriy's case, because he actually only has 179 health going into the next sector, he cannot even take 4 hits. He'll only actually be able to take 3 if he doesn't get any drops. So the first thing our runner's going to get in this sector is the bombs upgrade.
Actually, no. First, they have to find the security room. Then they get the bombs.
Well, I mean, security room doesn't really do anything but unlock a few doors.
Yeah, but...
First upgrade they get is going to be the bombs upgrade there. Now, bombs and fusion are a little weakened compared to the other games. You can't infinite bomb jump with them. So you're mainly just going to use them to destroy blocks that are in your way. So even though they won't get to use it to help out with movement in a few areas, but they'll get to use them to, I guess, for the same purpose you usually use them, and to just move around and get access to certain areas. But as PK said, the first thing they gotta do is go into this room and turn on the blue doors. Or I believe they're called the security level 1 doors.
Indeed. And they'll head to the data room to pick up their bombs. And as Action said, the bombs in Metroid Fusion are pretty bad compared to any other Metroid game. They take forever to explode, and their radius is extremely small.
Yeah, barring the 3D games, this is actually like the only one that you can't infinite bomb jump in. Yuri gets a bit of a bad pattern here. He gets hit by that enemy because of that. That pattern's definitely the worst one you can really get in this room, and it's really annoying to deal with. Looks like Elfonzyo also gets that pattern. Takes a bit more of a passive attempt there to try and get through there, but does still get hit by an enemy. Now, notably, Elfonzyo has fairly low health going in here. So if he gets hit by an extra Zoro, he could be in very big danger right now. Now, at this point, they're pretty much at the boss fight, so at this point, as long as Elfonzyo just keeps safe, he should be able to get to the boss fight no problem. And there's an E-Tank right before the boss fight as well. Along with, of course, the I-Core dropping the Idor, dropping the Red X.
Yuri goes to the room full of enemies that we affectionately call the pancakes, with only getting him once, and not a problem.
Yeah, pancakes can be extremely deadly if you have low health, because some of their patterns can be really a nuisance.
Elfonzyo trying to missile them, which is kind of a bad idea, as the beam can take care of them well enough.
Oh, and to note, Yuri did not grab the E-Tank before the boss fight. He's going to be going into the Zazbi fight anyway.
Yes, he had 0 beams to make up for that door from earlier.
I'm not sure that fully made up for that door, but... So for the Zazbi boss fight here, if you notice, Zazbi can either jump up like that, where he leaves himself vulnerable to you, or he can do an empty jump where he just jumps over you. And now in total, between all of his rounds, he can do between 3 to 12 if you don't screw up a round. So it's generally, you want to have good RNG for this boss fight, but it's still an RNG focused fight. Now Yuri is basically done with the fight. This last phase, he always does an open jump. Gets the starting double, see if he'll get the second double, and he does. Nice, he gets high jump. It's a fairly solid fight there.
And jump ball, aka spoon ball, but they renamed it for whatever reason.
Now,
I believe that was
looks like
8 or 9 jumps, which isn't...
Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh, but he messed up, and he's getting a few extra jumps there.
Yeah, luckily he messed up on the last phase, which means he only has to deal with it jumping up again like that, but still an unfortunate bit of time loss.
He missed the initial double, but yes, as Action was saying, he did get the second one.
Right, Yuri's gonna mess around with the SAX and kind of stay slowly behind him, which is not a good decision, by the way. I wouldn't say in some cases, because the SAX, if you get too close, it will notice you and it'll turn around and suddenly you're taking a lot of damage. So if you do that, be very careful.
I believe that is what a runner died to yesterday in our race.
Ooh, so yeah, not a fun thing to have happen.
Oh yes, Yuri taking the right side, which is, according to testing, half a second slower, but in my opinion, it looks a lot cooler.
Well, I mean, it's technically faster if you're a TAS, so just play like a TAS and you get there faster. So it looks like Yuri is leaving Sector 2 and going to be heading to Sector 4 to get the wonderful speed booster upgrade. Oh, and we see Elfonzyo taking the alternative route here that's faster for those of us normal people who are not superhuman.
Yeah, the left side was only faster by half a second with TAS reflexes and perfect shot canceling, which, did we talk about shot canceling? I don't even remember.
We have not, so you'll notice, you probably noticed by this point, a lot of times when our runners are jumping up to a new ledge, they'll actually shoot right before they land, and this is what's called a shoot cancel. The reason they do this is because it actually saves a few frames and lets them land just a little bit sooner. So they're actually going to use that throughout the run a lot, and you'll be seeing them use it every single time. Basically, they're going to try and land from a jump. So Yuri is now officially in the sector with Elfonzyo not far behind. Like I mentioned before, this early game, it's very easy for this lead to kind of stay apart, for it to stay really close. So we'll see how Yuri's Sector 4 goes here and how Elfonzyo does as well. Now, the main thing they're going to be getting here is the Speed Booster upgrade, which they're going to get from defeating the boss. And Speed Booster is going to, as its name says, speed up the run by a lot. Looks like Yuri has a bit of movement trouble there. Yeah, a lot of these rooms...
He is extremely low in health. Getting hit by the ouch and then the crab immediately. Alright, he should be fine now as long as he does not run into the eye door or get shot by too many beams.
Yeah, at this point, the only thing he has to worry about is the eye door, which does like 10 damage for each of its eye beams. So as long as he doesn't actually run into it, he can technically tank a full round of beams from the eye door. So hopefully he will not have that bad of a luck, but it can happen.
Yes, and let's see how he does here.
Yeah, opts to take it safe. That's a smart move. Alright, and only gets one beam.
So the boss, Ceres, is a very interesting boss. He is 50 health total, but since our charge beam with all three parts combined does 26 damage, we can two-shot him. But this pattern Ceres gives as he weaves throughout these platforms in the water is completely random. And Yuri got a really good pattern and was able to get both shots off. I believe that was another double for him.
Now I want to mention, Yuri actually tried to move around the Corax there into a specific spot. And we didn't mention this earlier, but if you kill the Corax basically where it's supposed to end up after you kill it, you'll actually get what's called a sweet spot, and you'll be able to grab it instantly instead of waiting for it to move over there.
Elfonzyo also getting the 2-round Ceres. Got the initial double. Got the second double
as well. So looks like both our runners had a very solid Ceres right there. Elfonzyo's might have been a little bit better because it seems like he did a good job of finishing off the Corax and getting a sweet spot. A little bit faster than Yuri did.
Definitely faster core, and Elfonzyo's also about to do what Yuri did, where shine spark in such a tiny space. Which...
Yeah, so that trick where you actually shine spark across the ground like that in a very tight space is what's called a low height. And we're actually probably going to see Yuri try and get another low height that will not be as easy. The last low height, the first one, is easy because you can just sort of spam A below the area you're at, below the ceiling, because you're right next to the ground. For this one, he's going to have to time it, so he basically does it as close to the ground as possible. And he is not able to land it there, unfortunately, so he's going to lose a bit of time on that, but not too much.
Both runners are able to go back to those speed booster blocks with no problem. Otherwise, we would have to see them loop around and get the missile shame, as it's called. Now, Elfonzyo is able to land the low height, which will save him a little bit of time over Yuri.
Alright, looks like both runners are done with Sector 4, and we actually see Elfonzyo entering the text box right as Yuri's leaving it. So they're kind of neck and neck right now. And Yuri's going to be heading into Sector 3 here. Now, Sector 3 is going to be a bit interesting of a sector because there are a few little tricks they got to do, and the boss fight is actually the first boss fight we see that doesn't actually have a core X at the end of it. So they're going to be getting the upgrade from the data room, and they're going to be moving on after they kill the boss fight. They're only going to be getting the upgrade from the data room. They're not going to be getting another upgrade. But luckily, the upgrade they get from the day room is a pretty good one called Super Missiles.
And when it says it triples your firepower, which of course you can't read in this language, but in English, it literally triples your firepower from 10 damage from missiles to 30. Now this does come with a little downside of your missiles have a longer cooldown in between and travel slightly faster, so it's harder to land doubles. We won't be able to see doubles for a little while.
Yeah, and PK mentions that every missile upgrade they get is actually going to give that increased cooldown and that effect where they have a faster acceleration. So every missile upgrade they get is going to make doubles more difficult. So you're actually, if our runners can keep getting doubles, it becomes really impressive and really hard to do later on.
So Yuri's able to land, it's called a shine break there, as he charges a shine spark as he breaks the block. And picks up the missile tank called Bob, the only unskippable missile tank in the game.
And you should definitely put unskippable in air quotes there. There is technically a way you can skip it in this version, but on the JP version, it's very, very difficult and not worth going for.
But now Yuri has the super missiles, and Elfonzyo's not far behind.
See if Yuri gets Data Spark here. And he oh no. Poor Yuri.
Nearly able to land.
Unfortunately, well, you can get a Shine Spark there, as you saw Yuri do, and ideally you get a Horizontal Spark, but looks like Yuri messed it up a little bit and did a Diagonal Spark instead. And Elfonzyo misses his chance to store a Shine Spark, so he was unable to get it as well.
Oh, Yuri now facing off Box. He tried to take some shots at it to make him jump immediately instead of walking around, which is slower, but it missed. He would recover from the fight pretty decently.
Yeah, one thing to worry about is you want to make sure you leave this boss fight with enough missiles, and Yuri has more than enough. He needs a minimum of 3, really, but...
Preferably around 6 to take care of those side hoppers, but he was able to land, kill the first one and land a charge shot with flare, excuse me, to kill it, which is very tight.
Yeah, 6 is ideal because then you don't have to kill one of the side hoppers with your charge beam. But if you get 5, you just need to kill 1, and if you have 4, you just need to kill 2 of them with your charge beam. Now Elfonzyo is going to have to... Luckily, he gets a missile drop there, but yeah, if he had not got that missile drop, he would have had to have done something else in the start of this next sector. But Box is definitely a fight you want to be aware of your missiles afterwards, because you need a minimum of 3 no matter what. Or you have to do one of 2 things that is a lot slower in the start of the next sector. A lot, maybe exaggerating it a little bit, but they definitely don't want to have to do that. It looks like Yuri is now formally in Sector 3, or Sector 6, sorry. And he has to listen to this little conversation here where presumably Adam is just telling them that, hey, there are these enemies that if they hit you, they do 69 damage, and you really don't want to get hit by them. And unfortunately, you can't kill them, but you can stun them with your beam.
Yeah, and the amount of health here is at, he can take a hit, but if something goes wrong, he has to take multiple hits. He's not only going to take that one hit before... spoke too soon. Now he can only take the one hit from the Ice X.
Oh wow, and he gets a missile drop from that. I guess the game is not doing him any favors right now. So he's going to want to be careful here and make sure he does not get hit with one of those Ice X's, because if he does, as PK said, that's game over. So hopefully Yuri is able to avoid getting hit by these things. Now this one right here can be a real nuisance, but luckily it looks like he froze it in a good spot. Alright, Yuri should be home free at this point because there is an E-Tank in this next room. And he gets in there, nice. Yuri has successfully made it through here safely. Let's see how Elfonzyo does.
And Yuri has encountered Sax in Sector 6. And this Sax skip, quote unquote, is not that hard to do. Usually you could just wait him out the slow way, or you could cause just SAX to just jump right over you as you run away. No harm.
Basically, you want SAX to notice you, and if you stand up and she sees you stand up, then they will turn around and actually shoot you. But if you actually just shoot it from behind, like they did with that small jump, the SAX will just turn around and start running towards you, and that's a little bit quicker. You don't want the SAX to shoot you, because then you lose a little bit of time. Now, Yuri is starting the Mega Core fight, and what he wants to do is he wants to keep doing this. He does a straight jump into it, and hits it with the full blunt of the Charge Beam. And it's just like with the Ceres fight, they want to actually hit it with all the main components, which is the flare, the two top and bottom parts, and do the full 26 damage. And if they pull that off, they'll kill the boss in 4 hits, which Yuri successfully did. And now he has to finish off the Core X here, and he'll get the Varia suit.
Misses the first and second chance at a double. Low.
Now, Elfonzyo, unfortunately, he messed up the setup at the start, and whenever you do that, the Mega Core here actually will start going around the screen in different patterns. Roll sort of patterns, it will keep coming in and charging at you. And if you do the start of the fight properly, it'll keep coming in the same way. But since Elfonzyo messed it up, he had to sort of improvise a bit there and deal with the Mega Core going a different way, but it looks like he had no problem dealing with it. And now both runners have the Varia suit upgrade and are going to be tailing it out of Sector 6. Now, unfortunately, leaving Sector 6, there are these enemies called Puffers that are in your way, and you see one on Yuri's screen right there as he jumps over it. And Puffers are extremely annoying. Whenever you run into them or you shoot them, they let out this little gas that causes you to get hurt, and it has a very big hitbox. So
yes, and once again, it's entirely dependent on RNG on where they are in the room.
Yeah, so you hopefully get good patterns, but in reality, pretty much all the patterns are not favorable at all. So you just got to learn how to deal with them and hope you get one that's easier to deal with than another. Looks like Elfonzyo had a really good, decent pattern in that last room there and was able to get through there home free. But still got one more room to go here, and looks like the Puffer's not going to be quite as nice, but oh, still makes it through there though. And gets a nice pattern leaving, nice. So it looks like Elfonzyo makes it through okay with Yuri on his way to about to ride up the elevator here, with Elfonzyo trailing not far behind. Alright, and Yuri has entered Sector 5 here. And he's going to be talking to Adam first off, telling him what he needs to do, and then he's going to go through an annoying loop twice. So Sector 5 kind of follows a bit of a loop layout when you first go through it. And so what you have to do, you have to go get the security doors, which I think are level 2 at this point. Maybe level 3. Level 3, okay. Yeah, the red ones are the ones left, okay. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to have to go through, they're going to get the security doors, and they're basically going to end up in the same big room they start in, and they're going to have to go all the way back, they're going to have to go get the ice missile upgrade and then go all the way back around. And so because of that, this sector can be really annoying and can be easily get lost in if you're not careful. So hopefully neither runner will run into that. I don't think we've seen anyone make that mistake in this tournament yet, so...
Yeah, no one has done that yet.
Hopefully this goes smoothly for both runners here.
And you're getting through the first room just fine, as there are plenty of times where the waivers can come and just randomly hit you, especially when you have to do that shine spark, or not shine spark, speed boost to break those blocks.
Yeah, it gets a bit of trouble in that room with the waivers there, and waivers can be really annoying. Now, Yuri's about to go and get out of here and go get the security room and go get the ice missile upgrade. Now, ice missiles change your missiles so that, yeah, they do more damage, but they make it so that your first shot always freezes an enemy. And now you can no longer kill an enemy in one hit with it. And this is a problem because super missiles were a really fast way to damage things. And now they aren't quite as good if the enemy needs to be killed in one hit. And because of the increased cooldown and the increased acceleration, it takes even harder. It's even harder to get doubles. So it takes a lot more effort. So although ice missiles are kind of nice in some areas, they can be really annoying in quite a few others too. But it looks like Yuriy is the first person to get the upgrade.
I say it's a good 40-second gap between the two runners right now.
Yeah, I mean, Yuriy getting the upgrade right as we see Elfonzyo actually activating security doors, so they're pretty interesting sync there, kind of. Oh, looks like Elfonzyo has a bit of trouble climbing up this room. Yeah, this room is one of the rooms you're going to actually see them go through twice, and you may see them use the same strat both times, or you may see them try a different strat. And we'll see what they do the next time they come around to this room, which isn't actually going to be that far away right now. But looks like neither runner forgot the ice missile upgrade, so they should be going through Yuriy's case. He's leaving right now, and Elfonzyo has to finish the loop one more time, and he'll be on his way out.
I'm sure that mysterious shadow in the background means nothing. Nothing important.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh no, red flashing lights. What's going on?
I don't know, Neptune. I think the announcer's telling us something. There's an emergency somewhere?
Yeah, but where?
I think it's saying Franker Z.
Sounds right. So, for the emergency sequence of the game, you get an annoying countdown to deal with, and that actually is extremely lenient. And you have to go back through Sector 3 and go through a few annoying rooms, and we'll see how Yuriy goes through here, and Elfonzyo is about to be on his way there.
Yes, they give you a 6-minute time limit, and we only needed just over 2.5 minutes or so. So
realistically, we don't even need 2.5 minutes on this timer, because both of our runners will probably be finishing with a 4 something, so they won't even be hitting the 2-minute mark. So to say this is a lenient timer is an understatement. It is an extremely lenient timer. It looks like the X's knew that Samus was an extremely talented bounty hunter, but they did not realize that she is also extremely fast.
Had a little bit of trouble with that eagle-esque enemy there.
Alright, looks like Yuriy is going to have enough missiles here to get out of here safely. He really only needs 3 missiles going into this room. So a lot of times emergency can be really rough on your missiles. So you definitely want to be aware of your missile count here, but it looks like Yuri's going to be fine. Even with that last side opera having to freeze it, he still have plenty of missiles.
Getting 3 beams on the eye door.
Yeah, beam luck has not been on Yuri's side this run.
I'm not sure if that was a double. It might have been.
Ooh, was not a double. So he had to fire all 4 shots there, unfortunately, but still gets a pretty good emergency time. Ooh, Elfonzyo having a bit of trouble going through there real quick. Really nice Idor for Elfonzyo there. Does not get a single beam. So we'll see how his emergency goes. Looks like he should be getting a better time than Yuriy did. I believe Yuriy got like a 418-ish. Looks like Elfonzyo is going to be finishing about 7 seconds after Yuriy did. Oh, and Yuriy takes a dive here, getting a bit of it more damage than he wants to. Oh no. Okay, so Yuriy gets out okay, but he definitely wants to be careful because there are a lot of spots where you can take a lot of damage pretty soon, and he definitely doesn't want to be in a position where he takes too much damage. Now, if Yuriy does not take a manual refill, I believe he's not going to be actually getting a refill until he goes back to Sector 5. He's going to have to go through the animal section and just the animal section, really, and then he has to go back to Sector 5, so he should be safe, as the animal section isn't too bad, but there are a few enemies that, if you get hit by them, they do a lot of damage, and if he's not careful, he could easily die, so hopefully Yuriy gets through the animals area without incident here. But we'll see.
And as Notion have said, we are on our way to save the animals.
Yeah, unlike Super Metroid, this game does not allow you to skip that sequence, so both runners are going to have to go through and save the animals. Unfortunately, the animals are a bit of RNG, so you can get good or bad animals. Hopefully both our runners will get similar RNG on that, and it'll be good animals, but we'll have to wait and find out. I guess we'll see how well they treat them in Super Metroid, and they'll get treated appropriately based on that. Now, at the top of the shaft, we're going to see Yuriy try and do a trick here called Impossible Strat. And this trick is a little bit difficult, but it's a lot difficult. I mean, it's called Impossible Strat. But if he pulls it off, he's going to be able to climb up the shaft really quickly. If he messes it up, which luckily he did not, he would have taken a hit from the enemies, which would not have been good considering his health. And now right here, he actually stops and stood in a specific spot to trigger that shine break there. And for that shine break, he basically sets it up so that his speed booster sort of activates as he's going over the last speed booster block. And that causes the speed booster there to activate just as he's going over it. and he's able to be on solid ground whenever he does the stores the shine spark. Now it looks like his animal luck was kind of okay there.
It was decent, not amazing, but it couldn't have been as bad as it has been in the past.
Yeah, definitely could have had worse luck there. Not ideal luck, but not the worst luck you could have gotten either. So we'll see how Elfonzyo actually climbs up this room. I don't think he goes for impossible strat, does not. Instead, tries to do a jump extend there, does not get it, so he just lures the stretchy out, freezes it, and does the same with the second one.
And although we can't read that text, in English version it says that Samus says those Edekins and Dakuras have once again met Samus, implying and proving that you have saved the animals in Super Metroid, and that is canon.
See, absolutely no point in mentioning that, but okay. Anyway, it looks like Elfonzyo gets a bit better luck on the animals than Yuriy had there, so that's nice. Looks like he'll be going through here and probably picking up the next two missile tanks. We'll see if Yuri's actually going to pick up the second one here. He should, unless he just opts to grab a different missile tank later on. Right, and he does get the second missile tank, so Yuriy now has 40 missiles, and he probably will not be grabbing any more for the rest of the run. We're about to see if Elfonzyo is going to do the same thing here. Meanwhile, Yuriy heads to Sector 5, and hopefully to get his last refill here before that he's been desperately needing for a while. Now, he has to be careful, but because before the refill, he's gonna, it's not really a true refill, you just get a guaranteed red X drop, but before this refill, he's gonna have to deal with another SAX encounter, and if he screws it up, well, he's probably going to die. So...
Yes. Hopefully he'll pick up some blue X on the way, which heal for 30 instead of the 10 that the yellow X usually do, just to get a little buffer there.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the exact damage values offhand, but you want to be able to tank at least one hit from the sacks, and getting hit there is definitely not going to help out that situation. But he is going to get most of that damage back with that yellow X there. Or sorry, not yellow X, blue X.
Yeah, and there are a few more blue X he can grab in the next shaft before he encounters a SAX. So hopefully he will attempt to pick them up. Or just completely ignore them.
Alright, we'll see how this encounter goes.
Oh! Oh, Yuriy!
Yuriy is unable to dodge the SX there, and unfortunately takes a death, but it looks like he will be starting over, which is definitely not a bad decision, because there's a possibility that Elfonzyo could still die as well.
Elfonzyo now has the power bombs, which are the loudest sounding power up that you ever hear in a Metroid game.
The best sounding power up is, I think, the term you meant to use there.
Yeah. That's what I meant. And I don't know what Elfonzyo is doing. Oh, okay. Resetting the room so he could lay a power bomb. You know, he had a good amount of time.
That was an...
But he was able to get through that.
The SAX open that door for him there. Nice. So this is the refill that Yuriy would have gotten, but he unfortunately was killed by the SAX before he could get it. But now Elfonzyo is back to full health and full missiles here, and is going to be leaving Sector 5 now. And the ominous shadow in the background again that we're pretty sure isn't going to be relevant later.
Not at all. No emergency this time.
Alright, everything is fine. Nothing bad should happen along the way. We'll see what Yuriy gets told to do next, or sorry, Elfonzyo gets told to do next here. Yuriy's on his way to get missiles again. Well, it looks like that Adam just told Samus that, hey, you need to return to your ship. So, looks like Samus is going to get to go back up that main deck elevator, and hopefully nothing will go wrong along the way. I don't think anything will go wrong.
Oh no,
sure, everything is going to be completely peachy. No elevators shutting down, anything like that.
No, not at all. Just a perfectly fine trip around the main deck again.
Oh no!
Shin, you just had to say something.
I'm so sorry. It looks like I jinxed Elfonzyo here, and the elevator shut down on him. Which is actually 100% intended, not my fault. So, not sure why you're blaming me there, but... So at this point, you're kind of forced to take a bit of a detour because something knocks out the power, and it looks like Samus is going to have to be the one to deal with it. Okay, so Elfonzyo is opting to pick up this as his 45th missile, which is actually a fairly fast missile to grab. It doesn't look fast, but it's actually one of the faster missiles to get.
Yes.
Alright, so Elfonzyo is going to lay that power bomb there. He wants to get rid of those 2 blocks on the left side. If he does not, he has to get rid of them later, so convenient to kind of deal with them now, since he has to deal with them right after the ship anyway.
And he's taking a safety save at the ship, which was pretty smart if he was been paying attention to the chat or the stream and knows that Yuriy has died.
Yeah, so with Yuriy's death, it's going to be even harder. If Elfonzyo dies, it's going to be even harder for Yuriy to catch up, because he's going to basically need Elfonzyo to... He's going to basically need to die at a point where Elfonzyo is... or where Yuriy is already at Yakuza again, or close to it, and it's going to be a lot more difficult. So, we'll see how this goes. That's definitely a very smart safety save on Elfonzyo's part. Now, the boss fight he's going to be dealing with here is going to be a boss fight called Yakuza. And Yakuza is an interesting boss fight because he brings back the wonderful return of annoying RNG to deal with.
Yes. So Yakuza can shuffle around the room between 1 and 4 times before opening up his mouth to fire and make him vulnerable again. Excuse me. And is... Okay, sorry, I was wondering what Elfonzyo was doing. So Yakuza is complete RNG in what he does, and now you can manipulate him by jumping into his arms and wiggling left and right to get out of his grasp. So you see here is Elfonzyo is shooting beams and missiles at the top of the screen, as when Yakuza does his initial opening attack, he is vulnerable and can be shot. I believe that was a 2-round.
Yeah. So really good RNG there. Alright, this Elfonzyo is actually opting to... Oh, now he's using missiles. Alright. So using missiles in this fight is technically faster, even though they do less damage, because you don't have to wait for the beam to charge up. But it's a lot harder to do this fight with missiles, so you're kind of trading some speed there for a much more difficult fight. Alright, Elfonzyo finishes off Yakuza, so he's going to be fighting the Korax and see how this fight goes. Now, as I said before, every missile upgrade makes these doubles harder, and they're having to use the ice missiles here, so Elfonzyo goes for any double setups, he's going to have a bit of a harder time than usual.
He's actually not going for any doubles at all.
Looks like he started off at the fight, but he opted to just play it safe with his missiles here.
But now the fight's over, and he now has the space jump.
And now Elfonzyo can finally defy the laws of physics and jump indefinitely. So space jump changes the way your jump works because you can't wall jump anymore, and you also have to time your jumps special in order to optimally move around in space jump, and that is not easy. So optimizing your space jump movement is very difficult and is really important in the later game sections because you will be space jumping a lot.
Oh yes, there's another SAX encounter, but we don't see it much. Just gonna run away and shoot some gates, and everything's fine.
This is actually the only SAX encounter in the game where if you were playing it casually, you'd still be forced to actually go in and fight the SAX there. Well, I guess not really fight, but you'd have to try and get out of its way.
And now the boss that's upcoming is the main reason that we collect so many missiles in the run, as it I'm not sure how many missiles it actually is to kill it, but oh, he's taking another safety save. Pretty smart.
I believe Elfonzyo is aware of what happened to Yuriy. I would bet that he knows.
Yes.
He may just be taking that safety save anyway, but it's interesting. We haven't seen him take any before this point, and now he's taken two around the time Yuriy died. That's a little suspect. I think he's probably aware at this point.
So Netherite here, he takes up a ton of missiles, and the more missiles you grab, the more time you waste, but also the more time you save on this boss. Oh, Elfonzyo getting knocked into the Samus Eater plant, which is not really preferable, and he's just kind of tanking those plasma beam hits and not really trying to avoid them. Just a little bit low health for the core.
Which isn't the safest thing in the world because this boss fight's plasma beam does do a good chunk of damage. It's fairly easy to dodge it, and especially when you're just going for single shots like we see Elfonzyo doing there, but you definitely still want to be careful.
It seems like Yuriy is getting a lot better Idor luck than he was in his last run.
See if Yuriy gets any doubles in the charge beam core here. And he gets a double-double, nice. So that's how the fight ideally goes optimally, so it's a really good charge beam fight for Yuriy. Right, so now we see Yuriy is going to be leaving Sector 2, and once again, for the third and last time, we're going to see Elfonzyo go to the Sector 5 area and fight the Nightmare boss fight.
Oh, and Yuriy happened to get a red X from that second Horn Node, which is a very rare chance.
Yeah, it's definitely nice when you get a red X from a regular enemy drop, but as PK said, they're extremely rare. Unfortunately, it seems like Yuriy didn't really seem like he had a whole lot of utility out of that red X that he got, but still nice to get him. Can never really complain about getting your full ammo and health back.
And as Elfonzyo leaves the Sector 5 nav room, he is told that the creature that we saw before is called the Nightmare and has gotten loose and it completely has wrecked the sector. I'm sure nothing's going wrong there. And he went for a method to do a Shine Spark there and messed it up, unfortunately, so he's doing a backup attempt. Oh no, he's actually going for the space boost, which is extremely hard to do, and as you can see, it failed in the first room.
Yeah, so these door transitions here are incredibly wonderful in that when you go through them, if you're midway through them, like height-wise, it forces you to the bottom. So you actually have to basically be starting your jump as you're going through the door in order to pull off the space boost. So that makes that trick a little annoying to do to some degree. Can't really, you have to kind of have a bit of timing to it and can't just try and spam A as quickly as possible. Elfonzyo is pretty much to the Idor, just got one more room to go here, and then he will now is in the room with the Idor. We'll see how the RNG treats him here. Alright, gets one beam.
2 beams.
And no beams that time.
He morphed. Yes.
Right. Okay, so that's a bit of a safety tank you can grab there, and we see Elfonzyo get it, which is going to help him out in this fight because he can take a bit more damage than originally.
Ooh, Yuriy taking a few hits from the Zoros on the way to the security room.
Alright, Elfonzyo has entered the third phase of Nightmare, and the most difficult phase to deal with by far. Now what he's going to try and do is he's going to try and get Nightmare's entire body on the screen, like sort of in the middle of the height. And if he messes it up, he'll have to keep looping him around, but if he does it properly, he'll get Nightmare to kind of stop in place here.
A little trouble with that. There he goes.
Alright, good. He gets Nightmare in a good height, so he's able to finish him off with those missiles, and now is going to be fighting the Core X. Oh, tries to get a double there. Does not quite get it. Does not look like he was able to get any doubles, unfortunately, so he's supposed to go through all 6 hits of that fight.
But with that, we're now rid of the ugly Varia suit and have the purple gravity suit.
Alright, looks like Elfonzyo is going to be going to Lower Sector 4. Now, Lower Sector 4 is a lot of fun because it's one of the most dangerous non-boss areas in the game, if not the most dangerous. Now, unfortunately, all these enemies are really annoying to deal with, and they tend to make sure they get in your way. So you want to make sure that you deal with these enemies properly and try and avoid the patterns they give you. First room is pretty easy, and there's no real harsh damaging enemies there, but this next room we're going to see the Mini Dragon, which does a good chunk of damage if you get in a bad spot, but Elfonzyo gets a little bit lucky there, and the Mini Dragon is as far away as possible. And in some cases it can literally be right above that spot where you jumped up, so it's really nice to have it in a favorable position like that. Oh, looks like Elfonzyo has a bit of trouble dealing with that pirate there, but he gets rid of the second one pretty easily. While Yuri is starting up his Azabi fight.
You're able to get the space boost off there. Or mini space boost to break through that barrier. Oh, freezing and landing that balloon, that's actually not a bad idea. But now Elfonzyo is about to go pick up the worst missile upgrade in my opinion, the fusion missiles, which once again increase cooldown and increase the speed they travel, making doubles harder. And for what? You really just get a cool effect that you can charge up and spread some snowflakes around. Otherwise, kind of useless.
Yeah, I give diffusion missiles points for being the coolest looking upgrade, but ooh. No, okay, looks like Elfonzyo messed up there.
Unfortunately, this happened to another runner the other night. And another difference between the JP and English version is in the English version, there's a middle path that you can freeze, but that was removed in the Japanese version due to a mini sequence break of sorts you can do that allows you to get secret message the not intended way.
Yeah, there's a bit of an Easter egg in the game, which PK mentioned called Secret Message, and they didn't want you to get through it a cheesy way, so they changed it to where you can only get the hard way in the JP version.
Yes, Metroid Fusion is one of those weird games where the English version came out first, and then they fixed some things up and added some new features in the Japanese version, as there is a difficulty select and a gallery in the Japanese version that the English version does not have.
Yeah, so if you ever want to see hard mode or anything, you gotta play in the Japanese version. But the English version has a few neat tricks of its own that were patched in the Japanese version, so if you want to do some things like 0% or do certain clip tricks, you pretty much have to play on the English version. So there are definitely some version differences other than just how much more time the text takes. Alright, so Elfonzyo is back in Sector 6, only this time he gets to teach the puffers a lesson because he has a much more powerful beam this go around and is able to deal with puffers pretty effortlessly. And a few of these puffer patterns are actually kind of fixed, so he can deal with them a bit easier than the first time he had to leave here.
Oh yes, the plasma beam completely changes how your beam works, as it now does damage per frame as it's in each enemy. And while this is good for normal enemies, it's pretty terrible for the bosses you had to encounter after with Nightmare and the upcoming second box fight called Xbox, as their hitboxes are extremely tiny and the beam will not stay in there for more than a second, if even that.
Now luckily there is a boss fight later on, actually two boss fights really, where we're going to get to see them take advantage of that plasma beam change. But for now, we got to kind of deal with using our super missiles for the most part, or I should say ice missiles at this point. Okay, actually diffusion missiles. I guess we're a few upgrades ahead of where I'm thinking right now.
Indeed. And Elfonzyo's taking another save. Guess you just can't be too careful.
Yeah, and I think he's aware of what happened to Yuri, so he's definitely trying to be on the safe side here.
Yes. Now this box is very different. So it has been looked at. The room is the exact same size as the first box fight, but now Xbox can jump twice as fast, shoot missiles, and pretty much knock you off those monkey bars. So you have to move around and try to avoid them as much as you can.
If I'm correct on this too, the ceiling's also lower, so...
Oh, really?
I have always heard that. If not, feel free to blame whoever told me that, which I don't remember offhand.
And if you can see, they're not going for. He's not going for doubles here, and almost no one goes for doubles on the wave core as they're frame perfect already on hitting 2 missiles, but it's also frame perfect on positioning, so those doubles actually can connect.
Yeah, so it's really a pixel perfect, frame perfect type trick. In fact, I think it may be subpixel perfect too, so it may even be harsher than that. But do not quote me on that.
Yuri missing the second shot on Saris. Gets some pretty unfavorable patterns. Missing another shot. But looking on Elfonzyo's side.
Ooh, and Yuriy also misses. Ew.
Suddenly, Metroids. And when sparking a mistake.
So Yuriy finishes off the Saris fight and is going to be getting his.
Yuriy.
Corex here. Ooh.
This is not
Yuri's
good.
Health is really low, so he's going to want to be really careful here.
I believe one hit will kill him right now. Oh, I stand corrected, but he was able to kill the core before he was killed himself.
Elfonzyo makes it through the escape sequence there, which is one of the things Fusion apparently loves. There's about 3 escape sequences in the game, including the final one, so... Although I guess the first one isn't really much of an escape sequence, it's more of a time sequence, but Fusion loves to give you timers to deal with. So Elfonzyo is at the final stretch of the game, and he's going to be going to fight Ridley, the SAX, and then the Omega Metroid. Now the first of these 3 fights... well, the first of these 3 fights is going to be the Ridley fight. And Ridley, well, let's just say, make sure your earphones are not all the way maxed out volume.
We talk about, of course, max out the volume.
Yeah, don't do that.
Ridley.
Unless you want to be going to a doctor tomorrow to see something about your ears, I heavily advise against having your volume up really high for this boss fight, because Ridley is notorious for screaming extremely loudly. And this boss fight does last a little bit, so you'll be hearing a lot of screaming going on.
And yes, but
this is the first boss fight they really get to take advantage of the fact that, hey, I now have this wonderful plasma beam that does a ton of damage. And they're actually gonna, ooh, Yuriy said, okay, looks like Elfonzyo's having a bit of trouble with the gold pirates there, but he deals with them. But yeah, so the Ridley fight, Ridley loves to scream at you, but you also have to get to use the plasma beam to its full effect. The beam will actually go through Ridley now, and you're going to see Elfonzyo try and land diagonal shots, because those increase the amount of time that the beam is inside of Ridley's hitbox. So they actually do get to do more damage that way. The only thing is that Ridley's tail can block the plasma beam, so they want to avoid hitting the tail, and they want to hit the main part of Ridley as much as possible.
oh man, can't you hear those shrieks? You can hear them, you know, the audio's on a different channel.
So the main goal of this fight is you generally want to keep Ridley in one corner, and generally in the right corner. But either way, you want to keep pounding him while he's facing towards you, because then you have the best chance of doing the most damage there. Let's see, looks like Elfonzyo's done with the fight. So you can sort of see there, the plasma beam really speeds up that fight, although they have the wave beam upgrade now. The plasma beam is the reason that that fight is so fast now. And we're actually going to see Elfonzyo finish off this boss fight. in short order there and gets the screw attack upgrade.
And with that, he's able to leave this little corner of Sector 1 and try to find his way back to a navigation room. No pacifists, leaving all but one Ripper dead in his wake.
And now he's going to be going to the longest text box in the game.
You're able to gain the Shine Break yet again.
Oh, looks like Yuriy does not get Data Spark this time around. And looks like Elfonzyo is just about to start the final text box. You have to go through a couple more rooms here, and then he's going to be in the nav room.
You're having a pretty good box. A little bit better than his last fight. Oh, and now I think I'm gonna go take a nap while this text goes on by.
Yeah, so unfortunately this text sequence is very long, and it's probably a good reason the JP version saves a lot of time is because of this one text box alone. Now, I forgot the exact length of the sequence, but we're probably going to be here for about 1.5 minutes or so. At this point, I think we're already a little bit less than halfway done.
Oh yeah, lore stuff's going on, by the way. Find out the computer's actually Adam, and this is before Adam's character was completely ruined, any objections lady, whatever. And now Sam's just going to go back to the operations deck and go set the station to collide with the planet SR-388.
Sadly, my favorite planet in the GIF franchise is going to get destroyed in a few minutes. But before Samus says that, we're going to see the SAX fight. Now, the SAX fight, if it goes perfectly, the first round of the fight can actually be completely stun locked. And we'll see if Elfonzyo goes for that strat and if he can get it. But if not, there's a few different ways you can deal with the first phase of the fight. And the second and third phases are pretty straightforward. For the second phase, you're pretty much going to see the SAX get killed extremely quickly in the second phase, because second phase, if done optimally, can get killed in 2 fully charged shots. But if not, it still only takes like 3 or 4 before the second phase is down. And the last phase is just an I-core. So
yes, no really harm in the I-core. It's just not that bad of a fight overall. But there is a chance, however, if you mess up those first 2 charge shots on the second phase of SAX, that it can soft lock, and it's extremely rare, but it is known to happen.
I'm honestly not sure if that may have actually been patched in this version. I'm not sure.
Ooh.
Oh, and it looks like Elfonzyo messes up the stun lock there, and he has to kind of go for an alternate. He has to reset up. Oh, and he... Ooh.
Oh, and he dies, but he did take that save. Very smart.
So Elfonzyo taking that safety save there definitely paid off right now. If he had not taken all those safety saves, he would have been well behind Yuriy at this point, but now that he took those safety saves, he's going to be able to still be ahead of Yuriy by a pretty wide margin. So a really smart move to take those safety saves. Yuriy showing off a little bit there with that SAX encounter at the end. And that is how that fight's supposed to go. Oh, gets knocked off the platform there, but still gets the 2-hit kill.
No stuff
hits
here. It was a 3-hit. Phase 2. Going a little safer with the I-core, except accidentally gets hit and messes it up. Ooh. So with this I-core, if you screw attack into its beam or into it, it cannot harm you. But it does not appear that Elfonzyo knows that. But is able to kill it anyways. And now he is setting the station to explode, and an escape sequence has started.
Alright, so at this point, Elfonzyo just has to go through and defeat the Omega Metroid, and he will be done with the race. Looks like Yuriy gets some really bad pattern from the puffer there. That's what I was talking about earlier. That area 6, sector 6 leaving can be really harsh with some of the enemy movements.
Oh, Elfonzyo attempting to do the last low height of the game, but it fails it. But no ship. It's only an Omega Metroid appears. You get 1 HP, just a little reminiscent of Super Metroid.
Yeah, it's interesting to note, no matter what your health is, the Omega Metroid will swipe you down to 1. And that works both ways, so you could have like 5 health going into this room, and his swipe would set you to only do 4 damage, but...
Going for the vertical stun lock, and he gets it!
Alright, Elfonzyo has now finished the run. Just has to wait for the ship to come pick him up, and he will be done.
With that, Elfonzyo's done, and it appears Yuriy has forfeited. But Elfonzyo has completed with the time of 1:23:42.
Alright, congratulations to Elfonzyo for taking it home. Believe we're going to have both runners coming in here soon.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. Hi there. I think Elfonzyo cheated because JC filtered how to win me. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. That's how it went.
Well, it was very unfortunate how you died, Yuri, and it was a good race regardless beforehand.
So I think I know the answer to this question already, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Elfonzyo, did you know that Yuri had died?
Yes, I did.
It's because I write it, or was you watching the restream?
Hello, Yuri.
Because I said, Elfonzyo, please don't die.
I was just looking at. I was looking at the stream. I noticed that we were staying pretty close for most of that race. I was falling behind before you died.
It was very unfortunate how you died, Yuri, and it was a good race regardless beforehand.
Yeah, I
saw that at.
So I think I know the answer to this question already, but I'm going to ask it
I
anyway.
put in
Elfonzyo,
the
did
best
you know
place
that Yuri had
in
died?
races.
Yes,
For some
I did.
reason, never happened before, but I almost died in Sector 4.
That's
I was really surprised. I just panicked, like, what? What? I'm about to die? And I fell down.
I was just looking at.
Yeah,
I was looking at the stream. I noticed that we were staying pretty close for
what can I say?
most of that race. I was falling behind before you died.
I feel like I jinxed you a little bit because when you first went to Sector 5, I was mentioning too, like Yuri's health is really low. He can get one hit by the SAX right now.
I was thinking the same person. Next game.
Yes, but yeah. So Elfonzyo was watching the stream, and then he started saving a little bit, which was pretty smart. And then, Yuri tried as best as he could to catch up. But I think you were getting a little frustrated there, Yuri.
Yeah,
some of the stuff that happened on that Sarah's fight was just very unfortunate.
Yeah, the series fight was like, oh, please end my life. Elfonzyo, please finish the race. I can't take this anymore.
I did it as quick as I could, which apparently is a 53 in-game time.
Not bad. PV, still PV, no?
T2. But I knew I was on PB pace during that run, but as soon as I saw you die, like, I just wanted to win. Process there.
That's no how Alpha Gamer thinks. Well, yeah, what?
Yeah.
Funny part, what next game said, I was thinking the same.
Huh?
I was like, it would be really funny if I died to Sax. No, but I'm smart. I'm gonna do a jump. I did a jump and I died anyway.
Yeah,
yes.
I think doing that instead of the spring ball might have actually been what cost you there. I believe that spring ball doing a spring ball would have been a little bit faster, and that might have actually made the difference.
Actually, I did the spring ball because I was scared to die, because I was thinking, if I do the spring ball too early, I'm gonna wreck by Sax. So I'm gonna play it safe, and then I'm gonna jump the beams. That didn't work out, as you can see.
Sax can be very scary.
That's why I did the spring jump very late.
It was really fun racing. It's a shame that you had to die. Like,
no problem. I mean, it will be more fun to see like a more tight, more low in-game time, and at the end of the races. I mean, in the tournament, it will be more fun to see more good players in the end of the brackets. But that just happened, so I can't come back to time. I can't go back to time.
Okay, so Elfonzyo, I have a question for you. What are your plans to do to prep for your next match against C. Scotty W?
lose. I don't really have any plans, so I'm just gonna keep on doing what I've been doing, because even though I still had essentially the same time as I did in my last race because of the 3-minute difference in Japanese and English, I plan not to die, and hopefully that all I can hope for is what happened in this race, honestly.
I mean, Scotty did get sent to loser's bracket because of controller issues as well, so there are definitely a lot of things that could go wrong, so I wouldn't give up just yet.
I just want him to move on. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I want him...
Oh.
Very respectable.
Yeah, I actually was. It's like it's a good thinking to do that. I think it's better to think about good your opponent, not bad. Because I mean, well, no, whatever. Ignore me. I actually was thinking that I was hoping some far in my mind. I was thinking that I wished you look to win, Elfonzyo. That's why I was helping you in the streams.
Yeah, thanks for that. It really helped my movement a lot. I kind of felt like I regressed once I...
Did you have a good box fight?
I think I had a okay box fight. He was one to the left, I think, instead of...
One question, what happened to the stream of Speed Gaming? Did it die? What? I didn't see I didn't see the race.
It was on Speed Gaming 5.
Oh, okay.
And speaking of Speed Gaming, now that Metroid Fusion is over, there are a few upcoming themes on the main channels of on twitch.tv/Speed Gaming. There is the daily race of A Link to the Past randomizer, and at 10 on Speed Gaming 2, there is a Legend of Zelda No Up and A tournament. So check those channels out after this. And I don't have any more questions. I don't know what you have next, Shin.
I'm good.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much for the interview.
Right, and we'll see you guys in the next race, which I'm going to look at the schedule here real quickly. See, looks like the next race is going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. between Crunchy Lex and React. So we right now don't know which channel that'll be on, but that will be the next match, and hopefully that'll be a really good one. Then after that, our next few matches will be on Monday, so still have a little bit of a break after tomorrow's match. So again, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys at the next race.